Hello writers, and welcome back. Today we're talking about handling criticism. We've all had instances where we were criticized. Not necessarily in a bad way, but somebody had to have an opinion about something that you've done, something that you're doing, or something that you could have done right. When I was in my early teens and 20s, I had an issue with accepting criticism. I think my biggest critic is actually my mother. She is very critical of the things I do. However, I'm going to teach you some techniques of how to handle criticism. I want you to imagine a scenario. You're at work and your boss is upset about you moving slowly on a report that you're supposed to submit. Your boss comes to you and tells you some choice words about your work ethic and how slow you are moving with your project. Generally, we'll get angry and tend to argue. However, you have to take some steps in order to ensure that you don't lose your head and also accept the criticism and feedback that your boss is giving you. A second scenario, you're submitting a query letter to a publishing house and you receive a rejection letter in the mail. How do you handle that? The rejection letter states, "Dear Miss or Mr. So-and-so, your book was sophomoric and it did not explain many things. It left me confused and I'm quite certain that this will not sell." How would you handle a situation like that? Of course, you're going to be upset because somebody is criticizing the work that you did. Another scenario, someone writes a scathing review on your website about your book or about your website overall. How do you handle that? So, what do all these scenarios have in common? Well, it's learning to accept criticism, learning to keep a cool head, all while receiving feedback. Here are a few things that you can do in order to accept criticism appropriately. Number one, remain calm. Many of us tend to get angry or even triggered if someone comes to you and says they don't like something that you did or something that you've created. We have to remember that people will always have an opinion of what you do. Sometimes the opinions are good and sometimes not so much. So while they're stating some of their frustrations and offering you feedback that may be less than savory, you have to remember to stay calm. So when you're receiving this feedback, a way to remain calm is by simply breathing. You don't want to breathe too heavy or too shallow, but you want to remain calm at all times. The second thing you want to do is listen to what's being said. Many of us are so quick to jump to respond that we don't actually listen to the words that people are saying. We're always on the defensive. Next, you want to talk to the person in detail. Get everything possible that you can get from their feedback. Feedback is actually a good thing. It helps you to become better at your craft. Once you've actually found out why they're giving their opinion, then it's now easy for you to dissect and find out what things you need to do to make yourself better. Once you've extracted that information, you then want to ask them for examples. Examples of what you are doing that's causing them some type of distress. I think the reason why many of us tend to get upset when we're getting some type of criticism is because how it's being presented to us. If the person is somewhat agitated and they tell you about yourself, you're going to tend to get angry with that person. Therefore, the delivery of the actual criticism is sometimes at its harshest. Now, even though it's delivered improperly, it's how you respond to the situation, which will determine how it will all play out. In a 2018 article by Psychology Today, they actually give you 8 secrets to accepting criticism. I'll make sure I attach those links at the end of this video. If the criticism you receive was negative and it's impactful, you might want to take the rest of the day to calm down and reevaluate yourself. You also want to maybe do something nice for yourself. As per the article for 2018 for Psychology Today, it states you can take yourself out for a treat or for a lunch or do something to get your mind off of the criticism that you've received. Criticism is not uncommon. We face it every day practically. We have to remember the greats, like Stephen King. He was actually rejected 30 times when he submitted his manuscripts to publishers. And last but not least, let's not forget Stephanie Meyer. I'm actually a fan of hers. She is the creator of the Twilight series. She was rejected 19 times before someone actually picked up her manuscript and submitted it for approval. I hope you found this short video on accepting criticism useful. If you have any other tips, please don't forget to list those below. Until next time, I'm Casey Losner.